Nice, mate. All right, we're back. We did this once before. Turns out people listened. So we're doing it again. This is episode 2 of the PropTech Labs podcast. Joining me again is Raf, the co-founder of PropTech Labs. Hello. And co-host, and myself, Kunal. So this episode, we have a really, I say, successful principal of an agent. He's in the Parramatta district, and in Parramatta, let me tell you, there's more real estate agencies and bakeries out there. So it's a very competitive place. So we have Nathan Sahyoun from Belle Property Parramatta. How's it going, Nathan?
Very good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, very good. One question to start you off with, and this is kind of like for this kind of question, it takes a bit of soul searching. Yeah. Because every real estate agent I met, they don't know, there wasn't their childhood dream to be in real estate. It was never. All right. So they kind of just fell into it. Like myself, like I told you, I worked at the Parramatta area, like I was telling you before. Yeah. I did my degree, and then I found that I wasn't getting any jobs related to my degree. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try real estate. So I feel like every person that I met in real estate has a similar story. They kind of just fell into it. Now, was this a childhood dream of yours to be in real estate?
Definitely not. So I've got 2 business partners, or say 3 business partners within his business. One of my business partners, it's been his only job. So literally from the day he left school, that was his dream and his path. For me, it was a bit different. Left school, did a construction course at TAFE. Worked in the construction industry. Liked it, didn't love it. Done some retail development stuff with my family business. Okay. Just so happened, our family was an investor into the LJ Hooker Parramatta business with a cousin of mine. Obviously, with Lebanese, everything's either a brother, a cousin, an uncle, or an auntie. So he was successful at that period of time. Had a bit of a midlife crisis and decided he wanted to go off and become a developer. Obviously, from us being the family being the other shareholder, I still remember the day we had a bit of a boardroom meeting at the family office. My uncle and my dad said, "Who wants to be in real estate?" I thought this is a great opportunity to get some free shares in the business. Put my hand up. Didn't realize that once when I signed the documentation, I was actually taking responsibility for debt. Which was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. I think I was about 21 at the time. Our family's very business-like, so everything was always super structured, and there's business and family second when it came to how to run the business. So at 21 years old, became a customer of Macquarie Bank very quickly, and that's how it started. And from there, the journey started. It's been 20 years now. And it's been 20 great years.
So did you start off as a principal straight away?
By definition, yes. By job description, no. So my uncle was one of the shareholders still, and he was very sort of diligent about starting from the bottom. So irrelevant of what our last name was, or what, just the fact that you owned a share of the business, we started from the bottom. Property officer. I've pretty much done a bit of everything within the business, and that was just for us to be able to have to earn respect from a lot of the older guys in the business at the time. 20 years ago, it was probably a bit of a different sort of culture back then than what it is today, and the world we're in today. So it's really understanding. You had to earn your way and earn the respect from others. Was very.
So have you seen a lot change in the last 20 years, Nathan? There's been a lot of difference between when you first started and now in the industry as a whole.
It's crazy. Like, even just, I was actually having a chat to someone the other day around when we first started, just the consumer. I think not only the industry, but it's the consumer itself. It's different. So, little things like end of month, when we first started, an end of month process in property management, basically you had the whole day off. The printer would be going, one of the ladies would come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, start printing off. You would get catering for lunch. Everyone would be sitting on the floor, folding pieces of paper, stuffing envelopes and things like that. And, come the end of the day, you thought it was a massive achievement. So, just processes like that. The old, the shop front window. So I remember back in the day, we had a camera that used to be out sort of looking over reception, and you could see the window. And whenever you're doing your work, you'd look up if there was someone staring at something in the window. there'd be a fight to get out to the front of the office on the street to start talking to the person. Even when we'd get a list, you'd get listings, you'd have to stand in the front of the window, and there'd be all the salesmen fighting for, who had the bottom right-hand corner, who had the top left-hand corner. The old school caravans where you got in a car and would go around and look at the listings. The internet, I think there was no such thing as domain, or maybe there was back then, but REA was
dial-up internet back then as well.
Honestly, yeah, it was old school. Justlisted.com was like the best thing that was ever invented. It was for free. You'd go into the sold data was for free. You'd sold section, print them off, cut them up, and make your appraisal. So, look, there's some really, really big changes. You know what? Not all has been great, I don't think, as well. I think sometimes still paper and pen, is still very relevant in today's world. But yeah, definitely over time, there's been a lot of changes.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said paper and pen still important. Like, in which aspect would you still think that having physical copies of things is very important? Because we're in the digital world, like especially like Raf and I, when we talk.
I've got to think of some of the products that Raf owns, but
we just got to be paperless everywhere.
Look, it's not about the products. I think it's just more around the processes, and it's probably more on our side as the agents of how you use certain products and the connectivity of certain products to work with each other as well. I think now with maybe 5 or 6 years ago, API was only one way all the time. So you'd get a new process or a new program. It'd be really good, but you'd have to extract data from one program to another. The old syncing mentality where you'd have an iPad and you'd sync it. So like things like doing an ingoing actually there was 10 times more steps in doing an ingoing, even though you're using an iPad, versus just doing one with a paper and a pen. So just little things like that. But I still think relevance around helping effective communication, being in front of people face to face, and having the ability to show what you know through writing or drawing and things like that. It's a bit of an odd craft, but I still think it's pretty cool, and I think people relate to it as well. And even just by taking notes, when as a form of listening, I think still very relevant as well.
Yeah, I think there's that hidden language in just showing your emotion face to face without even speaking, right? Like,
correct. Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's a bit of a lost art in today's modern world of technology. And obviously, I'm in the technology space, but I think a lot of the time people forget about the human relationship and about, hey, there's an actual person on the other end of it. And, technology helps, but it doesn't get rid of that personal connection. That's just my view, of course. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Nathan?
Yeah, well, I think me and you are a great example where I'm pretty sure every time we meet, like, I don't think we ever, there's never, the computer never opens up. We have a chat, we have a laugh, but, you listen to me, I listen to you. And then, obviously, our relationship and our understanding of, what you do and what I need, we sort of, we get that connection and get the business done at that level. And then, typically the computer opens up, for the rest of the team. So, I think it's like in anything, real estate's definitely still and always will be a people's business. And I think the more and more people, we just got to keep a hold of that. Yeah. I think, technology, high touch, I can't remember what it was, but like, I think technologies are still like a very important part of what we do. But it should always only be secondary to still, the human interaction, and
to that end, do you find that people have changed a lot that you service? You've got tenants, you've got owners, you've got people that are selling their properties. Has the behaviour of those people changed a lot over the last 20 years in terms of their expectation?
Yeah.
Like, do they want to hide behind a screen as well, or do they like the face to face as well?
Look, you know what? It's a mix. Once again, I think it comes down to us. Like if you value what you do, and a part of your value proposition is being face to face with people, you get it, and you'll get people to understand that's important for you. You still got to, obviously, with time and things like that now, sitting around someone's table till 7 or 8 o'clock at night, it's probably not that way anymore. Obviously, with people being much more busier, husband and wife typically working 2 jobs. with the use of Teams and things like Teams and other platforms, you can still have face-to-face, as a sort of a hybrid through technology. People are much busier these days. That's probably the biggest thing that we find. People are really busy, and just getting access to them is not always as easy as it was before. Pre-COVID, it was all good. Obviously, things like COVID, it's as bad as it was. It's a blessing in disguise for a lot of other things that have happened within the industry. But, with those new technology platforms, it's just given people options. And I think over time too, the consumer, from where it was 20 years ago to today, like their whole life is, the way they consume everything is different. So, the way they order their food, the way they bank, everything's such a different experience than it was before. So I think they use a lot of those experiences in other parts of their life, and try to transfer it across into the real estate experience as well, which is, like I said, it can be good and it can be bad.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I find that people want to talk to each other less. Like me, especially like with our company, we all work remotely, so we're very comfortable just working in our own space. Like there was one time where we had to go to the office in December, Raf, and I got anxious just knowing that I had to go on the train.
I thought it was. Office. I thought you got anxious because you were going to see me at the office. That's why you were anxious.
Yeah, that too.
My great dad jokes rolling out all day. What can I say? That's how it works.
Look, it definitely has changed. Yeah.
I think to that point as well, I'm probably more cut from the old school mindset. But you know what? It's taken me. I've evolved a lot, and even just understanding that everyone's different as well. People work. Some people thrive from working from home. Some people don't. But at the same time, you just got to deal with what it is. So I think it's continually keeping an open mind and working with the world we've got at the moment. At the end of the day, it's about getting the job done. So if the job can get done well, through different processes now, it is what it is.
Makes sense. 100% agree, mate. And that's the way of the world. Thanks to COVID, it definitely opened that idea up for everybody. And some people never wanted to come back to work, aka the other guy on this podcast called Canal. Did it once in 5 years. So there you go.
Do you reckon the new generation of real estate agents are struggling because of this shift with how they interact with people? Like, we got people that just, it's a texting generation, right? It's online dating. They don't even see people face to face anymore. Do you reckon these people are, I guess, there's a little bit of a hindrance in them evolving into that perfect real estate agent?
I say no, because if they last past 3 to 6 months, real estate is what it is. If you're not willing to do that, you're not going to survive anyway. So I think the young guy, I think there's more energy coming from the new generation coming through. Okay. I think there probably has been a stigma over the last couple of years that they don't talk and they sort of hide behind a screen. But I think for the guys that really want to be good at what they do, they leverage it to the extreme of being really good with video content, being accessible at different times and things like that. So I'm seeing now more and more the newer generation embracing the new world and using it for their advantage. If anything, I think I still believe the number one form of communication is either face to face or a phone call. But at the same time, I see so many good young people, giving, good content through video and other things like that. So, there's a good way to both. And I think even old people consume, information in new platforms as well today. So, yeah, I look at it as a positive. I think, a lot of the young guys, they're definitely the ones that are here and that want to make it well. They're very good.
And what are you seeing in terms of trends, like in real estate at the moment or property management? Is there any trends that you see emerging? Maybe specific to your area in Parramatta, or just broadly nationally? Anything you're seeing out there, trend wise? And it could be related to obviously what you're doing in the business, or the expectations of people, or technology, or things like that to help people along the way.
Look, there's so much technology stuff happening all the time. It's always hard to keep abreast of what's happening in that space. But I think what I'm finding at the moment is probably the last, say 5 to 10 years, there's been so much stuff or noise and change happening all the time. I think a lot of, at the start, everyone was super excited to jump on anything and everything. So you found you went from someone's tech stack went from rock end. So what was it? Is it rock end? REST. Like you'd have REST, and a sales CRM, maybe one other thing. Within about, I reckon, 2 years, everyone's tech stack just went through the roof. So you went from having 1 or 2 things to having 20 things. I don't necessarily think probably 18 of them didn't work, but it was cool to have a lot of stuff that you say you did. What I find at the moment is that I think everyone's gone through that cool stage and they're realizing now efficiency is important, and understanding, making sure how do we get the job done better, not only for the consumer but even for what I call my client, which is my staff inside, making sure that their experience is 10 times better, and engaging with them more and more around what works for them, not necessarily what's just new or cool or what works for the business. So definitely I think that people have taken probably slowed down a bit on absorbing change too quick, but at the same time as well, I think no, I'm not going to piss in your pocket, but the fact that someone like yourself has come in and really streamlined, and the fact that you guys have been aggressive and successful around growth and taking more and more things under your umbrella makes it 10 times easier for us. Whereas before, you'd speak to 10 different owners of tech. Really, all of them probably would just wanted to build something quick and flick it within the first year or two. You guys have probably been the main company that's dug the heels in and said, listen, we're here to stay, and not only are we here to stay, but we actually want to make things better. So it's been really good working with the guys like yourself to say, how can we make it better? How can this program talk to that program? If you have this program, maybe you can cancel 2 other programs. So just working from more of a common sense point of view, and even going back to what we said before, just talking and understanding versus just building stuff. I definitely think there's been more and more of a change around slowing down a bit. But I'd say instead of going wide, I'm probably going deeper with products.
And I think, to that end, there's a lot of tech fatigue at the moment. You'd know as an office, you've got a massive office in Parramatta. Yeah. You'd be getting call after call from people saying, I've got this new technology, I'm building something. But most of the time, as you rightly say, it's all done in isolation and silos. So, it makes you more efficient, but you need to log into 15 different programs. So staff just go, I don't know how to work on all these things, that they don't talk to each other, and you end up with 15 browser tabs open and going, what am I doing? Why have I got all these things for? Because it was the latest and the greatest at the time. So that's what we've been working towards, is trying to reduce down the tech subscriptions and make sure that everything talks to each other to make customers' life easier.
Yeah, and I think I think technology was supposed to be an enabler, but it's actually become a disabler. I think to a certain degree in the last couple of years. Like you said, you walk past someone's screen and they've got 15 screens, like 15 tabs open, trying to do a task, and it's hard. Like it is really hard trying to get people to stay engaged, and we're asking them to do, like, the consumer wants more, and more efficient and quicker, yet the processes are taking much longer.
Exactly right.
So in Parramatta, like we talked about, there's a lot of real estate agencies out there. Very
just
competitive.
So there's good bakeries too. There is good bakeries.
How many of them do you own as well, mate?
I know that.
No, there's no more cash anymore, so there's no need.
So in this area where there's so many real estate agencies, so much competition, what are you doing to stay ahead? What's your edge, do you think?
Look, I think with us, you know what, Parramatta's a unique area where ever since we started, because it's been more of a sort of, it's a second CBD of Sydney, property management has always been important to people out here. So you go to some areas and there could be one large rent roll and a few small rent rolls. In Parramatta there'd be 4 or 5 agencies with over 1,000 properties. So there's always been everyone has always been fairly big. So you have to be competitive. It's a competitive market. So it forces you to always to be competitive, which we love. At the same time, competition sometimes drives down price, which then at the same time makes you make sure you've got to be a good business person and remain know how to make money out of volume, which we've been very good at over the last couple of since day one. I think what our edge is, I think what we're very good at is just understanding who we are and what we want to be. We don't really take notice of much of our competitors and things like that. Like we've got certain values and we're built a certain way and we are who we are. So trying to be someone else is not for us. We've got a very long-term vision. We look at ourselves as more custodians, for the business, and for the brand. There's people here before us. There's going to be people here after us. So I just think for us, it's really about understanding, just being comfortable. We have a business. We're very business minded. We have a very structured plan every single year, and we want to attack. So we don't get distracted by other things or other people. So would you say, I look at that as an edge. Because at the end of the day, I think stability and sustainability, it's not cool, but for us, that's cool to us. And I think that what that allows is for the customer to know that there's trust and there's longevity. And I think when it comes to property and more property management, I think that's very relevant. Around when you're talking about keeping assets, safe over a long period of time, we can deliver on that. On the flip side, when it comes to sales, we're very focused around market share. It's taken us. We're always learning, and I think this year, after 20 years, we're having our best year this year. So we're always building, year upon year. So for us, it's about when we come to the sales, just going back to basics, but playing the long game around market share as well. Not going too wide, not just selling a property for the sake of selling a property. Our guys are super focused around understanding, building a deep market share builds to sustainability, builds to longevity. Exact same core values as we do in property management, and then you become more recognized, and then over a period of time, success will come over a long period of time.
As you said, you've been doing this for 20 years. I'm sure you've seen in your area at least a lot of people come and go that tried to get rich quick. I mean, would that be a fair statement, or is it more that people are sharing the same mentality as you, where it's a long game and they're trying to build a business?
You know what? Yeah, there has been some people that have tried to get rich quick, and I think like in any industry, they can do. They come in and they make a dent, and if you didn't have the blinkers on, you could very easily get distracted. But at the same time as well, when I first started, there was some older gentlemen in the area, like they were the kings. In early 2000s, they were the kings for 20 years before that. Super successful. I respected them so much. But at the same time, time changes as well. So, you can be. We have a saying like, not many heavyweight champions are the heavyweight champion for 20 years because it's you take the knocks. There's people that have been super successful for a long period of time. They retire. Sometimes they're not smart enough to understand when the time is right. But honestly, we're blessed at the moment in this area. We've got some really good business owners in this area. We're all super respectful to each other. We get along really well, and we thrive. I think there's a healthy competition, and the beauty of the world we live in is there's not one person in Australia has 100% market share. So there's always enough for someone. I don't understand why people get emotional and get shitty about other people in business. It's just business. I think there's a lot of other headaches around the world where you could, be worried about having a real war or a real headache. This is just business. So, we wish everyone the best. And at the end of the day, you get what you put the hard work and you get rewarded.
And I think,
that's the beauty of this business we're in. It's the same with you guys. Like you can talk, but if you're not getting paid what you're worth, it's only because you're not worth it.
And I think, you're right. Competition is healthy. At the end of the day, if you have 100% market share, you become lazy and you say, oh, well, I'll just do whatever I want to do, put my price up to whatever I want to put my price up. I think having competition keeps you humble and also keeps your eye on focusing on what's the next thing, what's the next innovation, how can I continue to build out, my property management business, my sales business, my technology company, whatever it is from there. But yeah, I think it's important 100%. To have that. And I think also you're right. People are very weary of competition and they won't speak to them and they'll do underhanded tactics. It just doesn't seem the right thing to do. Focus on your lane, continue to build good stuff and, eventually you'll win, and you'll never get 100%. Albeit it would be nice to get 100%, but I don't think you'll ever get there in your life.
No, and if you do, it's great. But the next day, the world starts again. So
that's it. Exactly right.
Yeah.
So now we're going towards this age of AI. This is the hot topic these days. This is what's trending on Twitter. Are you scared of what's happening, or are you excited about it? Because a lot of agencies are using AI to figure out, for example, who's going to be selling the property. I know, like with Woolworths Rewards, for example, they're scanning data. They're saying if you buy nappies, you might be looking at buying a bigger home and selling you a smaller home. So there's things like this with AI. Are you scared of what's happening? Are you scared of how other agencies are using it? And are you
There's
scared
some websites that Raf showed me about AI that scares me, but that's nothing to do with real estate. Now, look, you know what? It is what it is. And once again, it's one of those things where, the world's moving at a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
I saw a cool thing about AI the other day where I think it was a beer company where, AI was beating someone in sport. A robot was beating someone in sport. Then a robot was beating someone at work, and a robot was doing something else. And then at the last clip was the robot outside a pub looking inside and watching humans have beers and enjoying, emotion.
Yeah.
And it says you can do a lot of things, but if you can't enjoy it, it's meaningless. And I thought it was a pretty cool thing to see. But look, once again, there's going to be so much change in this AI stuff. It's cool. It's going to it can help us and stuff like that. But once again, it's just one of those things where just be good at what you're good at. Be good at being human. That's what we've got. And I just think, if people can understand that more and more, just be good at being human. That's our ultimate advantage. We're humans. We're robots. We're not machines. We're never going to be able to think or do what they do, but just stick to what we're good at. And I think, the emotive, emotional intelligence and stuff like that that's our edge, and that's what we are. We just keep
something
on doing
that can't be replicated by tech, I guess.
Well, I'm actually an AI robot, so just wanted to let you all know that on this one.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I would not be surprised.
I just wanted to put it out there for the benefit of everyone on the podcast today. So there you
go. So, you've been in this industry for 20 years. What are you looking forward to in the next 20 years? What do you want to see in the world of prop tech? What do you hope to get out of it? We'll see.
That's a good question. I think workflows are important now. When we talk about AI and a lot of the stuff we want or we ask for is not necessarily we don't need, I don't want someone to think for us, or we actually don't need the ultimate AI experience. I think for us now, it's just more structured workflows, and I'd rather have a program that helps us on the mundane, simplest things, and automates the simplest thing in the world, so we don't have to do something that is just repetitive for no reason, and give us time to do more face-to-face and more talking. So am I asking for, honestly, that's all I'd ask for, is just literally just simple workflows.
And in terms of where do you think where we're going to be in 20 years? So you've done 20 years now. What does, not even from technology, what do you think it's going to be like? I mean, it's a crystal ball. 20 years ago, if someone had asked you the same question just now, I doubt you would have been able to go, well, this is what I think is going to happen in 20 years.
Look, to be honest, it hasn't changed that much. Yeah. When you think about it, it really hasn't. It's funny, even during COVID, people still listed and sold during a worldwide pandemic. Yeah. We were told if you walk outside your house, you will die, and people still purchase property.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people still had to move homes, and we had to do leases throughout that period. So if that was what that did show me is that we're probably in one of the most unique, people's homes is, you look at, it's a necessity: food, oxygen, and a roof over your head. So I think we're in that, I think we're a tree, or it's the biggest asset class in Australia, yet it's still mums and dads cottage industry. So in 20 years, could we go from a I think we'll definitely evolve a lot more, but I still think we'll still be showing homes in 20 years. We'll still be doing auctions in 20 years. We'll still be taking maintenance requests in 20 years. So honestly, I can't see the core of what we do changing much. Will there be cool stuff around what we do, to enhance and market things better? Yeah, there probably will be. But if you're spending hard-earned money, I think you being face to face, seeing the direction of the sunlight coming through a window, the smell of the home, what you feel, how you feel when you're in the kitchen looking out, just all those things. Like what's the road like outside on a school morning, or all these little cool things that once again, that AI can't do, that you as a human owning the emotion can only do. I think it's still going to be, we're going to be super relevant still, and still thriving.
And do you think you'll still be doing this in 20 years personally? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think honestly, I really enjoy it. Like I didn't obviously, I wasn't a thing that I thought I was going to do. Didn't want to do it at all at the start, but I enjoy it every day. Like I love coming in. We've got a great people within, and the beauty of it is you make it what it is. You hire rubbish people, you're gonna have a rubbish environment. We try to hire the best people as possible. I probably spend more time within the business here than with my family. So, I want to make sure I enjoy it every day. And it's dynamic. I love it.
Makes sense, mate. Well, it's good. It's a good attitude, and it's refreshing, because a lot of people are, they're here to make a quick buck, or they want to do something, and they want to put their name on the billboard. They want to be the king. But obviously you've got a point of view that's long term, and that longevity shows in the business. So hats off to you for that, mate. It's cool.
Well, I think there's an easier way to make money than to do what we do. So I think having the respect for what we do, and having the respect for the guys that do it, I think that's what keeps me excited. And going back to everyone's personal goals, like for me, like I'm here to do what I do for my family. So I've got 2 boys, and I've got to make sure I do what I do to give them their platform and the opportunity for them to be the people they want to be later on. So my job.
Would you welcome them into Belle Parramatta if they wanted to join?
I was just going to ask them that same question.
Yeah, I would. I was actually having a conversation with a mate of mine the other day, and he was saying, education, doctors, lawyers, blah blah blah. I said, look, at the end of the day, the first and foremost for my boys, I just want them to be the best people. Yeah, that's the number one thing. Be very good people. Stay away from any rubbish and stuff like that. But if it was real estate, if it was real estate for one of them, I could then help them, because I could just give you 30 years of advice pretty quick. Yeah. And just, don't make the mistakes I made. If they're going to become a doctor, I couldn't help them at all, or whatever they wanted to be. But if it was this, I would have absolutely no headache at all. Yeah, I'd welcome it, and I'd love. It'd actually be a cool experience. Yeah, to see what they could do better than me. So and how they could.
I'm surprised they're not already working there, mate.
I think legal age is 14 and 9 months. They've got a couple of years to go.
It's apprenticeship. It's an apprenticeship, mate.
That's it. Yeah.
Work for the dolls. That's all. Work for free. Exactly. Work for your rent. Work for your supper.
All right. So, for anyone that's wanted to become a real estate agent, what advice would you give them? For that 13-year-old boy that's looking, I might, take that path. What advice do you have for them? In terms of, I guess, what can I say? The life-work balance. In terms of, I guess, more on the emotional level, what would you tell them?
Yeah, look, what the beauty of this industry, it can be both boy or girl. Like, to 13-year-old boys or girls out there, I think it's such a great industry where, like, you're not constrained by, like, do I have to lift something or physical or, anything like that. It's do it. Like, it's like, what, if you're 13 years old today, you've got the world ahead of you. Like, try a million things first of all. But if it comes to real estate, I think the one thing that we have today that I didn't have 20 years ago was so much content and education that's available on your phone. Like, the fact that people listen to shit every day or waste their time not learning, like, the podcast button on my phone, that's for free. Like, I just can't. I'm dumbfounded why people do not spend most of their time like just learning. And that, if it's not real estate, it's anything. Like, we've got the best people in Australia, or in the world, literally telling you how to win or how to do something. The answers are there. I think if it was a 13-year-old person today, understand everything about the long game. I'm not saying success can come quick, but staying successful for a long period of time, it's two different things. Build resilience. I think the word resilience and grit and things like that is a really important trait for people, and it's not easy for someone to build. I think that takes time. You've got to be knocked down a million times and then get back up and learn to get back up. It's an industry of low barrier, low barrier to entry. So you don't have to be the smartest kid or or boy or girl at school to be able to do this. But at the same time, if you got to be a hard worker, and you got to want it. I think that's the main thing as well. Within real estate, there's some cool different opportunities. You can be a property manager, you could be a leasing agent, you could be a BDM, you could be a salesperson. Some cool roles, like I think an EA at the moment or a PA is a really cool role for people to get into. To be able to assist teams, high performing teams, I think is becoming such a critical role in real estate. That you don't have to be a real estate agent to do that. You could just be a really highly skilled organized person to be able to come into the world of real estate and add that value to a high performing sales team or a PM team. It's pretty cool. So I just do it. Honestly, it's you either love it or you don't.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't be too worried about what people say or what people think. Just make up your own mind.
No, I think
there's a lot of human skills that you do learn in that job as well. I mean, you can go into real estate as like with a soft jelly core, but then with a year in it, facing all the rejection, all the different types of personalities that you're talking to, you come out a rock by the end. You can talk to anyone. You can accept what anyone says to you.
It's an interesting industry. Like, for every good, there's normally a few extra bad. So, you look at PM, typically, a lot of these guys' days are dealing with, people's issues around if it's maintenance or, arrears and things like that. Like, like I said, it gets you into a rock pretty quick. Yeah. And it's like anything. I think, I look at it as a great life skill. If you can deal with a lot of different people, especially in today's world where people are probably more closed off and worrying about going to some weird virtual world or whatever they do in their spare time. Yeah. I think, keeping it, and that's maybe people like Raf and things like that. But like, just actually, being able to deal with different people. And what I love about real estate, especially for young starters, there's no discrimination in age in this industry. Like, you could be coming in, if you're good at what you do, if you're 18 or 19 years old, like, someone could choose you to represent them for their biggest asset. I think that's pretty cool. Because so a lot of it just comes down to how good you are, and then the rest is just opportunity.
And I think you're right. A lot of the time, the young people today, now I'm sounding like an old man, but everybody wants something now, today, immediately, because they've got Uber and Amazon and these brands that have taught them that they can have something immediately. But when it comes time to work and building a brand and building yourself, that doesn't happen overnight. That takes time. And there's been people that have been lucky and they've been in the right place at the right time, or they've got family connections and that's given them the boost. But for the bulk of people, you're right, 100%. It's grit, determination, never giving up. And a great quote Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So you're going to get punched in the face a lot. You've just got to be able to deal with it. So I think that's some pretty cool advice for people wanting to enter the industry or in general.
100%. And all everything you just said, like, is so transferable, into the rest of your life. So, obviously work's just work. It's never going to define who you are or what you're going to be, but like, the skills that you you learn along the way that you can transfer, that you can, flip across into your personal life. I think, there's a lot to give from this industry.
Nathan, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you having on this podcast. If anyone's looking to list their property in Parramatta, make sure you give a call to Nathan Sahyoun at Belle Property Parramatta.
Well, actually, you know what? Shoot me an email and I'll give you across to one of our lead salespeople, Parramatta, Beecroft, or Carlingford. So all those 3 regions we cover. But I just want to say thank you to you guys. I really, I got a lot of respect for Raf and and your team and your company. You've actually, and I'm not pissing in your pocket. You've been a breath of fresh air, to the industry, and I just think your human side to you is really what gives you guys, just like us, is what gives you your success. So looking forward to working with you guys in the future, Nathan. Again.
Thanks, Nathan. Those are genuine Nathan words, by the way. We didn't pay him for this. So.
I know. Look, I'm just expecting free subscriptions.
Not yet. There's always a little asterisk at the bottom, but I appreciate your time, mate. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks so much.